Just roll it straight on out. Good evening. Good evening. Hopefully everybody is doing well. I think you know who's sitting next to me, right? Is that the right way? One of these ways. He's on my side here. Nope, nope, nope. It's that way. There he is. He's over there. We just were talking about looking at the side, but I'm Don, the auction professor here. Live show if you haven't caught one before. I've got a lot of new subscribers in-house too. We're going to be talking literally about success and what it takes. I'm going to swing it over to the gentleman right here on my left, and I will let him introduce himself for those of you who don't know. I do have his link down there, and I will pop it out throughout the show as well.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Dominic. I go by the Primetime Treasure Hunter. As you can see, I have a YouTube channel with the same name, and I really love comic books. As you can see from behind me, I've got a lot of those there. So always have those in my eBay store, always hunting for them. But like Don, we have a lot of shared interests in vintage and collectible items, historical items, pretty much everything and anything, just like you watch on Don's videos where he has, any different day, could be any kind of random item that he has that, you could source for low and, sell for a great price. We have that in common. We love those kind of things, and we're always hunting for that stuff. So that's how Don and I became friends quite a while ago, is those shared interests. And so, people who tend to like my channel love Don's, and people who love Don's tend to like mine because we have that in common. In addition to the YouTube channel, I also have a Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. So I post a lot of news updates and events and things to support other resellers. So everyone's welcome there if you're not a member. And that's basically the bottom line in terms of what I do reselling. It's a part-time thing for me, as in addition to YouTube. Although I feel like I put full-time hours into it, I do have a separate full-time job in a hospital, but and it keeps me very busy. So I constantly feel like I'm keeping my head barely above water, trying to get everything done. So, but it's a lot of fun. So thanks. Always an honor to come on Don's channel. Always
a pleasure to have you on as well. With what we were just talking about, hours and stuff, just before we went on live here, I've been up today will be the fourth day in a row I've been up at 5 a.m. And I don't know. I know I probably was texting Dom still at like 12:30 or something like that. Yeah. I went to bed at 2:45 last night. I got up at 5 again today. Success doesn't mean you kill yourself. I know both of us got a lot of hours, and I know both of us are like burning the candle at both ends, I guess you'd say. I like doing it. I don't have to. I'm sure Dom doesn't have to either, but I like to do this. Right. Successful wise, at least for me, I know if I do something that I really like, I'm much more successful at it than something I hate. I love to get up in the morning. 5 o'clock to me might aggravate the wife when the alarm goes off or something, but 5 o'clock to me is fine. I've been getting up at 5 o'clock for 25 years of my life or better, sometimes even earlier than that. So first off, I would say if you like what you're doing, you're getting something productive for your well-being out of it. It's fulfilling, and it gives you a challenge, which this surely does. I think everybody out there can say they've had many big challenges out of doing reselling. Why don't I hand that over to Dom, and let's have him give you some of his thoughts on that too.
Well, Don's right. We were texting each other last night, and we were talking about things that each of us are trying to do with regards to just upgrading things, with our channels and stuff. And it's just so much to try to get done, because you can't just make investments like that and then all of a sudden you just flip a switch and everything's okay. It requires a lot of time behind the scenes to test things out and and see how things are working. In addition to just testing things out with your regular, reselling business, even if you're not on YouTube, there's lots of things you're researching, trying to experiment with to grow every year, which is part of success. But it requires a lot of extra time. And the last thing I messaged Don last night was, because we were talking about sleep, is sleep has just become an annoyance at this point.
I meant to answer that too, actually. Yep.
I was like, wait, Don didn't write back to that. I said, did he fall asleep? I don't know, but yeah.
I got to get stuff done. When I started,
Right.
I told the wife I'm not coming up until I've got it running.
Right.
Everything's on. All the apps are installed. It's all been upgrade these last 3-4 days. And Dom, we were talking about upgrades, and that's part of success. If you've got stuff that you need, that you use every day, make sure it's up to date. Make sure it has the best of everything in it. We've upgraded. I had to install a server yesterday, and if anybody's ever installed a server on multiple, we've got a lot of PCs, a lot of laptops and stuff. So it was a bigger ordeal than I had hoped, but it's all done. Everything's working. I did it all myself. I felt really good after I was done at 2:45 in the morning. But that's the luck of the draw. We invested. Literally everything else goes back in here. I don't spend wildly on anything else other than technology, business related stuff, big purchases, and that's part of being successful. I'll do a little story here for just a second, then I'm going to hand it back over to Dom as well. If you go to a Goodwill around here, and I haven't been in a long time, one thing I always noticed at the Goodwill in one side of the town is there's more Mercedes-Benz and BMWs in that Goodwill parking lot than anywhere else around here, it seems. And I know that may sound crazy. Anybody who's from around this area, Toledo and stuff, the one on Reynolds Road, I don't know how many times I have seen BMWs and Mercedes in there. They're shopping in there. They're saving money so they can have a nice car, nice whatever else, because they don't really care if it's used or not. They're being practical, frugal, and obviously it makes you more successful if you have more money because you're able to do other things than just, fight for every nickel you have. You can save money. That's another successful thing that you should be doing, is trying to minimize your expenses in any way, shape, or form. I'm not flashy at all, as I've said, and that doesn't thrill me, I guess, at all. The aspect of growing what I got and knowing that I did it all myself is like the biggest part of that whole thing. I know Dom, I know he's all excited, and we've talked about when he's hit plateaus or something's happened. I know that feeling. He had a real good live show last night. I have to watch it here. He had 400 on at the same time, which I thought was really phenomenal because it's hard to get that many people on any show. Yeah. I've had a few like that, but the biggest show I ever had was because they dumped somebody else's, like PewDiePie or somebody else's into my feed. And it was a nightmare because everybody hated the show.
Right.
So to get 400 people that like a show, that's the thing that boosts my opinion on success. I'm sure he was glowing that yesterday. It was a good show in the whole work. That's success. It doesn't have to be success to me or success to somebody else out there. Isn't the same thing. I get thrilled on things people think's a waste of time and stupid, but anyway, let's hand it over to Dom. Let's leave it off on there. We were just on a show, so let's let him step back in here.
For me, I think a big part of success is setting measurable, definable goals that are challenging, and really setting out with a focus of accomplishing it, and just whatever obstacles come in your way, you just continuously find ways to knock it down, find ways to work around it, and just keep at it until you hit that goal, and then find a way to scale up to get to the next goal that's above that. And that is fun. It's fun. It's enjoyable to do. Don't get me wrong. Like, we were joking about sleep, and I said sleep is an annoyance. A natural instinct for me, it's not like I don't like sleep. Like, if I actually, could sleep like at a certain point for like 11 hours or something like that, like, I could do something like that and I could enjoy it. But I override that with just how many goals that I have and how many things I'm trying to accomplish, that it's just not a practical thing for me to really do. I always kind of tell myself in the back of my head, if I accomplish this, and this, then I'll get like, an extra couple hours of sleep or something like that. But that normally doesn't happen because I just have so many things that I'm trying to do. But really, I think that if you're struggling with motivation at all, and that's a big topic for a lot of people, is struggling with motivation, really setting goals in areas that you enjoy, that you like, or is something new for you, that's a challenge for you. I can't really speak so much for Don on this, but for me, YouTube has been an enormous challenge. One of the biggest challenges I ever took on. I never had experience doing anything with YouTube prior to starting this channel, and just trying to grow it, and all the bumps and stuff along the road. It's been fun overall. It has been a lot of fun, and so take on challenges. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to do that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely with the challenges. YouTube obviously has been a challenge and a half. I'm on like my third year just to get to this point. And that kind of leads into another thing that I hear all the time. And I know Dom has too, because we've talked about things like that. Far too many people give up without really investing enough time to give it a chance. It takes a long time to get something like this running. I mean,
so Don, related to that, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm basically supplementing what you're saying here, so you can continue on with that. But Michelle Grooms had a question for both of us related to what you just said. So carried on from this. She said, do you both ever feel like giving up, like it's not worth it? Sometimes I feel this way.
I'll take it right from there, and we'll change the subject, because that's a good topic. I've been asked that question many times. I don't give up. I see it as a challenge to get past or get through or whatever's going on. I have issues, so I'm not, I've got ADD and a few other things here that I've fought through as a child all up till now. I can't. I wished I could sleep like Dom too. I can't do that. I couldn't stop yesterday. And again, I started at 5 a.m. I quit at 2:45 in the morning, almost 24 straight hours. And I couldn't stop. I had to get that done. To me, I've got some stuff going on this week, so I've got some other reasons, but I would have done it either way. I have to get things done. If I put, let's say, some posties up, and I've got posties, I mean, literally everywhere I go, I've got posties for everything. I live by posties. I put them up on the wall. And my goal for that day, the first thing, I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. I don't even eat until I at least hit off one of those posties in the morning. As soon as I get up, it's a postie, which is something that I should have done the day before. All the day before stuff I finish. And then I look at after breakfast, right after that I do breakfast, and then I look at where my goals are for the rest of the week. I guess I'm different than a lot of people. I've been in a business position. I know I've seen so much awful stuff in life, I guess, to some extent. This is a piece of cake. I'm sure Dom would say the same thing when he goes to work and has those days where, I was going to say pulls out his hair, but that wouldn't be.
That's why I don't have any left.
That's why I don't have any. Yeah. You have to have a driving factor, I guess, is the biggest point. And my kids are always here. My wife's here. I don't need much more than that, in my opinion. I've been to the bottom of the rung. I mean, we had nothing. We lived paycheck to paycheck, or one item we sell to the next item we sell. I mean, I have a degree too. I've got a decent degree, and it's just not. None of the stuff that means stuff to other people too, I should say, doesn't mean as much to me. I don't care about all the money. I don't care about the glitz. I don't care about having a fancy car or anything else like that. I would store it in the bank or buy a nice house on some property and just live my own way. Everybody has a different meaning of success and what drives you. And I guess the drive factor is what far too many people lack, I guess. I know Dom's got to drive. Otherwise, he wouldn't be up and doing this and everything else. That drive, I guess, is the biggest thing. Liking what you do, I'm sorry, where's the name at my Michelle, I think is the biggest aspect of this. I love everything I sell. I love looking at stuff. Sometimes I run into stuff, I'm sure Dom does too, that I remember being there as a kid, like a postcard. Blue Hole. There's a little park that used to be around, and it was called Blue Hole. It had a huge blue hole in it. And anyway, stuff like that make my day. I had a conversation with a couple of people that made some comments under a few videos, and some of the commercials and stuff I find brings back some of the fondest memories of my childhood, like toys I used to have. I picked up some Micronauts the other day, and I hadn't seen them in person in 20 years, so that was a huge big plus. It was the ones that I had. I mean, it wasn't the knockoffs. It wasn't the later ones. It was literally, it could have been the ones I had almost, and it was this homey, back to childhood feeling having these. And to me, it's a big thrill. So why don't you touch on that one too there? Because it's addressed to both of us.
Yeah. So some people might be surprised by my answer, because I am always talking about, you know, and people see me as highly motivated and, you know, highly energized and stuff like that, and very positive and stuff. But do I have times where I feel like giving up? I do. Yes, I do sometimes get fleeting thoughts like that. I say fleeting because I instantly counter them with the opposite thoughts. I don't really let that kind of thing marinate. And there was a time once where I really did get pretty down in terms of how I felt things were going on my YouTube channel. And I think that, you know, other people might have looked at it and thought that everything was okay, but it wasn't meeting the standards that I was kind of having for myself in terms of what I wanted. Like, I wasn't growing as much as I want to. And so I was just talking about this with a couple of people the other day who were going through some similar struggles at this time. And I said, you know what I did? If you go back on my channel, I actually just put myself out there and I did a video that literally is called Thumbs Down on my YouTube channel. And I literally just went like this. And I just sat down and I just had an honest talk with the people who are watching. And I just said, have at it. I said, whatever you don't like, whatever I'm doing that bothers you, whatever you'd like to see that I'm not showing, as long as you communicate that to me in a respectful way, I will take the criticisms. Now, some of the ones that I got, I didn't agree with. You don't have to agree with everything, but there were a lot of things that I heard and I got back that, you know, some of those things would be tough to hear, but you have to hear them. And by opening myself up to that, I think that that really helped things, helped me look into things more. And that helped me. I'm bringing this up because it answers the question, but it's also about success. Because I think if you want to succeed, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be open to hearing what other people are saying if they're not liking something. And so you know, it's not easy to do, but if you realize that it's worth a little bit of feeling uncomfortable for a bit is worth it. Could really pay off in the long run. So, you know, if you don't have a YouTube channel and you're just struggling, for example, with your eBay store, what I'm saying is go and ask somebody who you trust, who you have some, you know, respect for, to go in and take an honest look. Don't just have them go into your store and tell you everything looks great when it really doesn't. Like, and don't get mad at that person for telling you what they honestly think if they're giving you an honest review. I always used to tell people that when they wanted me to do a review of their store, I said, I'll do it as long as you are open to me giving you constructive criticism about it. And that was always the ground rules. So I know, Don, you do store reviews, right? I mean,
in my Patreon page, yeah.
Do you tell people that too, that they have to be open to hearing some, some constructive criticisms?
I've done, I don't know, a lot, dozens and dozens and dozens. I don't know, a ton of them. And the first thing I always state is this is business. Everything I say in the video, and I pretty much have said that every time, I think, in front of every single one I've ever done, because I do them in a video. So everybody gets to see them, and hopefully people learn from mistakes that everybody else makes. But I've done a ton of them, and you get a lot of ideas by looking at other people's stores. But again, you can see the same mistakes and the same errors that people make. There's one person that I watch, and I'm not a fan per se, but Mr. Wonderful. I can't even think of his real name on Shark Tank. Yeah, Shark Tank. I only bring him up because I like the idea that, you know, someone's just straightforward. I don't care about hurting someone's feelings if it's a business talk. I'm not here to make you feel good or make you feel bad. I'm here to give somebody the business ideas on what's going on, the business look at your business. I was a regional for many, many years in my life, and my job was to go into stores and tell the general manager what was wrong. Why weren't they hitting their numbers if they weren't hitting their numbers? And you got to be brutally honest, because at some point, if they don't know how serious it is, if it's an eBay seller I'm talking to, if they don't get their stuff in order, you might lose your store and you're not going to make enough money. You're going to have to give up. You're going to have to take a full-fledged job. If I'm doing it at a store manager's job, I'm talking to somebody who's possibly making $60,000 a year, and his job is in my hands. If he doesn't fix the issue, I got to let him go. You know, you only get so long in that type of position. It's a salary position. And you got to be brutally honest. And that's the first thing I ever learned in business. The conversations and when you're talking or looking at a store, it's not about you as the person who owns the store. It's about your store. It's about what could fix it. How are you going to advance it to the next level? I've had those regionals, or I had a regional vice president, and then I had the East Coast production supervisor. He was like in charge of half the country. He came out and just said, "Hey, this is wrong. That's wrong. You better do this." And I had to take notes. You know, that's the kind of stuff you got to get used to. You can't be thin-skinned in this at all. You've got to be able to, you know, understand that this is a business, and the conversations are all business. I've never had anybody get mad at me. I think everybody understands that my only feelings and opinions on this are business related. That's, I guess the gist of it.
Right.
I know I rambled a little bit, but I guess that answers it.
Yeah. A couple things I guess I would add. It's kind of random, but you know, looking at some people's comments in the chat. Thanks for all the comments. I'm making sure I'm looking at all of them, and I appreciate the kind words. There are some people in here who are subscribers to myself and to Don, and I'll tell you, you know, because Michelle wrote back after she heard from us that made her feel better. People like to see if, you know, that we could relate to some of the things that we're going through. We go through the same type of things sometimes, and you know, some of the things that help me. You know, I've talked to this about Don, that I think that sometimes we don't always realize the effect that we can have on other people. There will be people who will reach out to us and will say, "Hey, I've been watching you for a year or two and you really helped me." And it's the first time that they told us. And for that many people who are like that, there's others who will never tell us. And so that's a good thing. That helps us, that motivates us, that keeps us going. But the other thing that helps is like comments like Jesse Shops in there and some other folks. I can't tell you how many times, like, if you're feeling down, you're feeling low, and you see a positive comment from a subscriber, from someone who follows you, and they say they really enjoyed your content, it really helped them out, that, you know, that positive comment could really, could really help motivate you and get you back on the right track. So I'm saying that as just a thank you to people who are in the chat to support both of us. For, you know, I go on Don's channel, watch his videos, and I see in the comments people very complimentary and stuff like that. And I'm sure when he sees that helps. That's, at least for me, it's motivation, more motivation to go forwards if I ever am feeling down. So point is that if you are getting points where you're feeling low, try to surround yourself with positive people who could help push you in the direction where you want to go. One other thing I would say, Don, is that while I do strongly believe in the whole never give up, you know, the whole Rocky thing, like I said, if you get knocked down, get up. At the same time, you have to make sure that, like I said, that you're striving to try to make improvements, that you're not just continuously doing the same wrong thing over and over. So, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if it's 3 years into YouTube and I still have 200 subscribers, yeah, I'm probably not going to keep doing it anymore. You know, like there's got to be some feeling of accomplishment for me. I'm a very goal-driven person. So if I'm not hitting goals, if I'm not accomplishing things, then for me, it loses its motivation. That's hitting goals is extremely reinforcing for me. And so I need to see those kind of things. And so when I see that, that keeps me going. So don't, like I said, don't get me wrong. There are times where if you're trying something, that's why I call it trying. You're trying it. Sometimes things just won't work out, and it's okay to move on to something different where you might find more success.
Definitely. Let me just call this out, and I'm going to continue that conversation just a second. Thank you very kindly, Andrew, for the $9.99 super chat. Very, very gracious of you. Again, I always forget about that too. And while I got it on this topic, if you're enjoying the conversation, please pop that like button over there. Give some love to the channel. I've got 154 people in here and 54 likes. Let me see if I still have Dom's. Hang on one second here. Nope, I'll have to pop it back in there. I got it. So I was going to pop Dom's channel back up in here one more time. So if you haven't subscribed to Dom.
And I want to say hi to Carrie Berry's mom, who's here. I was just talking to her recently, checking in on her, and I'm glad to see her in the chat tonight. So, Bunny, thanks, Bunny, for coming by. I
Yeah, I
remember
see.
those days. She was one of my earliest subscribers, and I remember when I was making videos like years ago when I first started out, she would watch every morning and was one of the first people to comment. So that was back in the days when Don talk about being up early in the morning. I would literally make videos at 3 or 4, 5 o'clock in the morning,
Done that.
and then head off to work at like 6:30. It was nuts.
I still do that. I can't sleep. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm lucky to get 4 hours of sleep these days. So I'm up. I fully understand. At some point, stuff gets to be where I'm done, and I've had those days when I work for other people. Don't get me wrong, but on like here, I mean, I don't, there's no stress. So if I'm just going to keep doing it and doing it. And I understand the whole gratification thing too, because it is a daunting task when you first start out doing anything, whether it's eBay or YouTube, and trying to get the views and the whole works. I'm still going to do the videos, even if I don't get a ton of views. I've talked to quite a few other channels, and I've been on less than some of them. I've got way more views. I've been on, there's people who've been on for just a couple months and have far more subscribers than me, which I can see it's frustrating at some point, but I honestly I don't care anymore where that goes. If I do great on YouTube, I'm happy about it. I'd rather do great, but if I don't, I like doing it, I guess. At this point, I enjoy talking about what I do. Yeah. We've got more Weebles videos and some toy videos. We bought new equipment, so there's going to be some reshoots and things like that to try and up the level. But I mean, I don't care if they get a ton of views right now. We've even talked to me and Dom about, future. A lot of my videos that are hitting views are ones that I don't even like to look at anymore because they're so long ago. I got videos from almost 2 years ago that just got 30,000 views for the first time in this month, which is weird. So I don't worry anymore about, I don't know. There's so many other things. My kids' well-being and their health, I guess, is all I really think about, and wife and the family. And if I got to sit up to a 24, 48 straight hours, I'm not going to stop because that's just me. But I've had my days where I've walked out in a job. I threw the keys at somebody before. So don't get me wrong. Everybody hits a certain point. At least with me at this point, there hasn't been anything to draw it to that level. Again, have a vision. Anybody out there struggling, having, grief, not knowing where your life is going or what's going on with your business, a vision of what you can get out of it, I guess, is the biggest thing. Now, I know where I'm sitting. I'm in a different spot than a lot of people. I was right there with everybody else. I've had the 0 listings. I had nothing. We were, nothing, no income. I had no job after college and stuff. I completely understand. Trust me. I mean, I worked full-time 60, 70 hours a week so the wife could be home with our newborn child when my youngest or my oldest was first born. Same with the second one. I've been through all that. Everybody has the issues and losses. The vision and your drive is what you need to find, I guess. Having something that makes you want to get up out of bed every morning and, hit the grindstone, no matter what's going on, I guess is the point. If you can get up when your alarm clock first clicks off and be fine, I think that's a big plus too. Not worrying about, oh man, I didn't sleep enough. Just think about what's going to happen today. When you step out of bed, you're going to make things happen. I guess that's the biggest take that I take on it. I finish my posties in the morning, get my breakfast, basic 4 cereal this morning, and then I'm going off and hitting my weekly goals. I mean, that's all that's the routine. If something happens bad, it doesn't affect my goals. I guess that's the other big point of it. Everybody worries too much about one bad day, one bad sales day. When the freeze came in here last week, sales were down, but I picked right up afterwards. So, don't panic. Don't freak out about stuff when it happens. You've got to be looking at the big picture, your goal, your vision down the road, I guess. You want to take it over from there and maybe steer it?
Oh, I totally agree with that about the slow sales day thing. I mean, I see a lot of people, this never probably stop. People, if they have one slow sales day, they think that eBay is going to go out of business, that their business is over. They start to ask other people if they have slow sales. And then inevitably a few people say they do. And now you think that everyone's having slow sales. And it's just the natural, roller coaster of business, especially with e-commerce sometimes. If you have good stuff, if you source good stuff, if you listed properly and stuff, It's just a normal flow, and it's going to pick up the next day. Next thing you know, you got 9 or 10 sales or whatever, wherever you're at, proportional, you'll have an increase. Try not to get too wrapped up. Just keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. As long as you're doing the proper steps, it's gonna work out. The other thing I would say, and I've heard this from a lot of people who are successful in business and also on YouTube, and I agree with this, and I think that Don, this probably helps you and I in terms of being so goal driven. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I actually mean this in a good way. Is that you have to be, if you really want to be successful, I really think you have to, on some level, you have to be practically obsessed with what you are trying to accomplish. And Mrs. Primetime will tell you, she said the other night, she's like, I can't even believe, she's like, and she lives with me, and she's just like, I can't believe, like, it's like 2 a.m. and you're like walking around, running up and down the stairs, doing this and that. Like, I'm just, I do have a point biologically where I have to sleep, but for the most point, I mean that, but there's something that drives that, and there's like an obsession behind it of trying to get better, trying to improve, trying to hit those goals. It's just, you're just constantly thinking of it. That's how I think about it. What about you?
Hang on 1 second there. I don't want to forget anybody here. Thank you very much, that reseller guy, for the 555 super chat. We got another YouTube.
What reseller guy? There. What reseller guy?
Pardon me?
What reseller guy?
That reseller guy.
But who? Which one?
That's his name there, Tom.
I'm just messing with you.
I know.
Who's on first? Laurel and
I liked who's on first.
Abbott and Costello, sorry.
And then I got Frank Zaragoza. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Thank you as well for that super chat. What is the best way to track COGS? Hold that thought for just 1 minute. What was the last topic you just said? I'm sorry. I don't want to get too far.
We're talking about being obsessed with your goals.
Okay.
Which that term has a kind of, sometimes people think of it in a negative way, but properly channeled, it really can be a differentiator.
I am obsessed. And I literally told Dom, like, I don't know, we were talking a couple months back. I can't think of anything else some days. I can't get it out of my head. I have no physical way to get certain things out of my head. That's why I can't stop until something's done. I'm totally fixated on getting things here, doing this or finishing that. I had to move shelving this week to get, tower. I was going to finish it no matter what. I was just so fixated. I can't even sleep some days when I hit the bed because I just got all these ideas swirling down in my head. So I got posties everywhere because I have to live with posties now just to write down all the stuff I see. But it's a compulsion for sure for me, something that I have no way around at all. I have to say, I'm so wanting this to be my permanent life, my permanent career, my permanent everything, the whole reselling aspect of it. That's all I think about. I can't go out anywhere when I do go out these days, but I can't go out anywhere without seeing, well, I could sell that. I could sell that. What could I do with this? What could I do with that? That's everywhere we go. I mean, it probably drives the kids nuts. It probably drives the wife nuts.
Yeah. So D Fuller said maybe driven is a better word, but for me, I think being obsessed with it takes it to another level to me. Like, to me, the way it's subjective, but to me, like, driven is like here, but like being obsessed with it is like, it's like above the level. Like, you can't even,
I would say I'm obsessed. I would say this is a complete and utter obsession in every single aspect of it. I don't think you could get more obsessed than laying in bed at 4 a.m. trying to figure out what would be the best title for something that you just got. Because that's what I do sometimes. And I literally, there's tablet next to my bed. I got my phone there. So sometimes I click the light on and write something down at like 5 a.m, 3 a.m, or whatever time it is. Let me hit off a couple more here. And then I want to answer Frank's real quick here. And I'll let Dom step in on that one too in just a second. Carolina Picks, thank you very kindly. Very, very, very gracious of everybody to give out the super chats today. Than any book. Well, thank you very kindly for those kind words, Daryl. I really honestly appreciate that. As I said, I literally don't think too much about that. I have videos that I was going to put up on here too for membership, and I haven't even got that up. So, I've had membership where I could have done them on here for like a year, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, I'm so behind on stuff. My brain on stuff to make this stuff. I'm just so behind. But anyway, let me get to COGS here. Best way to track COGS. I do Excel spreadsheets for everything. Now, I'm old school. We handled $11.2 million off of Excel spreadsheets for my region. That's what the company did, a national company. That's how I've done it since 1995. So I do everything in Excel spreadsheets. All of my expenses are broken down by category. I have a Patreon group. I'm not trying to push anybody to go to it, but in Patreon, I have videos literally, and I actually have copies of those same sheets that you can freely download. But that's all I use for everything. Everything is Excel. We had a big, huge blast of a ton of views. I hit 900,000 views here on YouTube this month. Tons of new subscribers. Everything went on to Excel spreadsheet. Every single thing that I could pull off of YouTube went on to Excel spreadsheet. Everything I do is Excel spreadsheets. I usually do everything and then just turn over my P&L statement to an accountant at the end of the year, or 6 months or 3 months, whichever term you are doing your business at. Keep track of everything. Save every single receipt. If you don't get a receipt, buy a blank tablet, write one out, put the address on it, track everything. It just depends on your business skills, I guess. If you don't know, there's a book called what's it called? How to Run a Small Business and Not Get in Trouble with the IRS. I do believe that is the title of it. And it goes into all the bookkeeping aspects of it. There's probably dozens of books like that, but reading a book on something like that would be well worth it to anybody out there who has never done like breakdowns, invoices, P&Ls, any of that stuff. P&L is a profit and loss. A COGS, for anybody who's wondering what the question means, cost of goods sold is COGS. It's a standard term. P&L and COGS are usually what you hear first questions out of anybody's mouth when you're in a business meeting at any international company, business company, corporate America. Those are two common things you always hear. But you want to hop in there on your method maybe a little bit?
Same thing. I use I guess I'm old school too. I use Excel. I've been doing that for a long time. It's just easy for me. I'm used to it. I know people were asking in the chat if something more modern that some people use. A lot of people use GoDaddy bookkeeping, so automatic integration. So some people might like that. You got to pay for it. I don't have to pay for the Excel. It's free. It's easy. I just do it myself. I also, there's like something in the back of my mind. I like being in total control of it.
That's me.
I don't want my data to get lost and then all of a sudden, but the chance of that happening probably very low. But that's just me. So yeah, and same thing is that at the end of the year, by doing it that way, it's very easy for me to just run my numbers and put them in a P&L statement. And I just met with my accountant last week and handed everything off to him, and that's it. I'm done. So it's very, very easy that way.
We're not filing till the very last minute, though, this year. All my stuff's done. I'm just not turning it in, or we're not going to have it processed till the last second, just in case they do some other snowball or they throw something else our way with pandemic, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I got Dave Midwest Picker. Thank you very kindly for the super chat as well. Another channel that I have watched before too. Good guy there. Adam knows him as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've missed any here, but QuickBooks. I've used QuickBooks years ago. I honestly, of all the ones, I have a friend who uses GoDaddy. I checked it out before I decided just to stay with Excel. The part of Excel that I like is that everything can be downloaded from every single site that I do in a CSV file, it's a comma delineated file, which means it'll break it down into a workbook. Now you can use Google Docs just as easily too, but everything is broken down that way. So when I download it from eBay or Amazon or Etsy or Walmart, wherever I'm downloading it from, I download it that way. It's automatically opened up then into an Excel form. I can just hit an auto sum button. I can total everything. I can just connect that document or the report I just downloaded from eBay with my other files. So I don't even have to move anything. It'll automatically connect all the data from one workbook to another. I mean, it does everything. As long as you know how to do it, it literally does every single thing I could possibly think of to keep your business going. I mean, everything I do is through there, and it's done nothing but help me in every way. I've been able to see patterns, and eBay is great for some things, but they're terrible on any of the reporting. And I had a thing in e-commerce bites. I wrote an article for e-commerce bites and talking about this, and I there's a lot of people that weren't happy with some of the comments. because they don't understand, where to pull the documents from, I guess is the biggest point. But as long as you can get the documents, that's all you really need. I think it's like Dom says, he likes to be in control of his business. That's the exact same thing for me. I like to know where every dime went. I can tell you where any dime in my whole business went because I've seen every single number. I've processed every single, well, the wife does too, but we've processed everything. At the end of every month, I look through every receipt. They're all categorized by month. They're all numbered. They match my sheets. My office supplies are in my office line. My shipping supplies are another line. I've got my merchandise, the whole works. And I think Dom does his as a straight cash without, you don't do any inventory at the end of the year, do you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know people say you're crazy, you can't do that. Well, apparently you haven't talked to an accountant and you haven't read the IRS's page on running a small business. As long as you're not making, what's it, $1 or $2 million? I think it's $2 million. You have to make over $2 million to be required to count inventory.
Okay.
I'm almost sure that's what it is because I looked it up when we first talked to the accountant about this. So there's a lot of stuff you can do, but you got to dig in. And I mean, that's part of being successful, wanting to know that information. I know Dom likes to know everything too. And that's the ones I know the most successful are like me and Dom. And I'm not trying to say we're like great people or anything. The point of it is everybody I know who's doing extremely well knows every dime in their business, everything they do by hand. And you don't have to do that, but I think you're more invested in your business. Of course, I'm nuts, so I gotta see the numbers. So anyway.
Well, all right. It kind of reminded me about something, which is that, and this is a pattern I see based on questions and comments that I see. Remember, I have the Facebook group, so I'm always looking at comments. I'm always seeing what people are talking about. It's part of success, which is the topic of the show, which is you have to want to learn, like Don said, but you have to believe in yourself. I see too many people saying, I can't learn that. I'm not smart enough. You are smart enough. You could do it. You are. You have to believe in yourself. I don't care if you don't know anything about a topic. I mean, literally zero. You can do it. Okay. Now, I'm not brag. It's going to sound like I'm bragging. I'm not. I'm just telling you. In high school, okay, I graduated high school with a C average. Okay, that anyone looking at that would not think that you're smart. I was fortunate enough to get into a good college, and when I got into college, I said I got to apply myself. I applied myself. I graduated summa cum laude, got into graduate school, and have a PhD. Not because I'm super smart. It's simply because I applied myself and I was focused and I was driven. A lot of the things that we're talking about today. When I met Mrs. Primetime, so we're talking about something non-academic, I did not know, believe it or not, had no idea how to use Microsoft Word. Didn't know anything. I was using, in college, to type my papers, I was using a Brother word processor. I stayed away from computers and she started to teach me how to use it. And then I became I felt like I had eventually I just dove into it to try to just absorb everything I could about it. Then in graduate school, I was driving one day with one of my friends and he told me that his wife had built a website. And I said, really? I said, now this is before the days where there were companies you could hire to make a website for you, really. So you really had to know coding and stuff. And I said, well, how did she do that? He said, well, she just taught herself how to do it. She taught herself HTML. I took no computer classes in school ever, nothing. I went to Barnes and Noble. You couldn't even order this stuff online. I went to the store. I bought a bunch of books about HTML and I just studied them. I read them. And I built up my own website, medfriendly.com, which is still there since 2001. And now it's a part of my business. I literally designed that site from scratch. Okay, just teaching it myself. Trying to learn jewelry this year or last year, last 2 years. That has been a new area that we've broken into. Now we have a ton of it in our store. But myself and Mrs. Primetime, both of us, I mean, she knows more about it than me, but even herself, there's been a big learning curve for us in that area. So there's going to be things you don't know about. There's going to be things that you don't know. They're going to seem intimidating at first. You're going to think, oh, wow, I can't do it. But you have to believe in yourself that you can do it if you apply yourself, if you're focused and you have that drive. You could, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but you really could do most things that you apply yourself towards. So go for it. Go for it. So motivation tonight, right, Don?
I completely agree with that. We went back to college after years, so I never thought I could do it. For one, I just thought it was just some major thing I didn't do great in high school either. So I mean, I'm probably in the same boat as Dom in that aspect of it. But once I hit a certain age, I mean, I don't care. Nothing's going to stop me. I don't care what you think. I don't care what somebody says about me. It doesn't. I don't know them, and they don't affect my life. They don't pay my bills. They don't take care of my wife and my kids. So, it comes back to the drive, the vision, and an obsession, without a doubt, to do this. Most of the people I talk to are obsessed, I would say. Pretty much all the people that I know that are into this. And those are the people I get along with the best, because they're not interested in the BS. They're not interested in all the drama and all that stuff. And I could care less about any of that stuff. I'm not in high school anymore. No disrespect to anybody on age or anything else like that. But, I've got grown kids. They're all adults. I've been married for quite some time. There's so much more that you can do with yourself on your own with just buying a book. Goodwill Hunting. There's one famous line, and I'm not going to try and repeat it because I don't remember it word for word, but where they're in the bar and, they're going back and forth about the guy making fun of the history class. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about, but you can learn everything you want from a book from the library for sure. I mean, I took HTML. I took the book. I bought bought the book as well. I own it. I can do it from scratch. I took PHP, JavaScript, Java, C+, Visual Basics as well.
I'll give you another example, Don. Here's another example right now. We were just talking about it last night. I have a very low level of knowledge about audio equipment, but I've been immersing myself into it. We were talking about last night how I'm upgrading my microphone setup, and now I'm buying things like preamps and cloud lifters and XLR cables and all sorts of stuff, but I'm teaching myself how this stuff works so I could understand how to improve the audio interface with my channel and bring in, different types of effects and stuff like that. But it's very easy to just get intimidated by it and just say, I don't know what these terms are. I don't know what certain terminology is, with regards to audio stuff. It sounds like a different language because, it has its own terminology, and just be like, forget it. I can't do it. And that's to your detriment. That's got to be like a thing where you say, no, that's a challenge. That's something I could do. I'm going to watch some videos. I'm going to get some books. I'm going to start at, because all the people, here's what I always thought of it. Whatever topic you pick, I don't care what it is. Whoever knows the most about it, at some point, that person started from nowhere. They were not born that they knew all this stuff. They learned it. So you can eventually learn this stuff too. You just gotta believe in yourself that you can do it and stick with it. You're not going to learn it all in one day, but you gotta apply yourself towards it.
Definitely. Let me. Frank Zaragoza's got one more question. Thank you as well for the $4.99 super chat. Another one from you. Now you've got also, do you average your cost of goods? Nothing is an average in accounting. Everything is counted for dime for dime, totally. When we were talking about cash, what I brought up with how Dom does his as well. When I buy something, it's immediately a full-fledged expense, every dime of that purchase the minute I buy it. I use my tax ID wherever I'm buying it. If it's items to resell, if it's merch, or if it's like supplies, obviously you just pay the tax. But the point of it is that there's no rounding of any sort whatsoever. Dime for dime, every dime is accounted for properly. If I spend a dime, I write a dime down in my book. There's no averages on anything whatsoever. I don't come up with a COGS like everybody else does based on a itemized inventory. I do not itemize inventory. It would take me a year to count 80,000 items that are up, and then who knows how long to count what's in back stock. Doing it as a cash basis means that the minute it comes in, it's already blown as an expense, and I'm already billed for it, basically. That's the rough aspect of it. You can do things like accruing and stuff, and you can carry some of the value over to the next month or next period and things like that too. You can accrue or account for chargebacks and stuff as well too, or like refunds and stuff. That's like the reconciliation part of your P&L. But one more, because I got Cat Lam too. Thank you very nice. Thank you very kindly for the $4.99 super chat as well, Cat Lam. Very gracious of everybody for that. One more call out. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, please hit the thumbs up if you are enjoying the conversation. We're over 200 now, and I got 106, which I'm always glad to hit 100 at least. So thanks, everybody, on that aspect of it. Now, where were we at, Dom? I'm sorry. I know I got a sidetrack for just a minute there.
No, we're just talking about the desire to learn, which actually... I think that is another thing that that is a reason why Don and I have come together and developed a friendship and collaborations together, is that by the very nature of the type of stuff we like to sell, the vintage and historical and antique stuff, it requires a lot of learning, and there's teaching involved too if you know something about it, which is stuff that we like to try to do on the channel. Obviously, I mean, think of the name Auction Professor. He's teaching you stuff, so you have to love to learn stuff to then be able to teach it. Hopefully that's something that a lot of people, I see people in the chat saying that that's inspirational to them, and hopefully it is, because I think if you have that love of learning, of love of knowledge, it could really help you in your reselling business, because then you say, wow, that's really cool. I didn't know about that. That's interesting. So now the next time I see such and such item, now I know, because I learned that I have an advantage over the other people who didn't take the time to learn. I don't know if you saw, Don, there recently was a $35 piece of china that someone found that, like, I don't remember if it was a thrift shop or whatever, or a garage sale, I think it was. And the person who saw it recognized something about it that made it distinctive. And it turned out to be like a 14th century piece of china that is estimated to sell at auction for $500,000. So that's for a $35 piece of china. Go look up the news story about it. You'll see, totally legit. It's crazy, but that's the kind of those are the kind of things that can happen if you have that specialized knowledge, but it comes from a desire to learn.
Most definitely. I try to figure out something on my own, buy a book or whatever else. I mean, me and the wife put an engine in the car just by looking at a book. There wasn't any internet when we did that. I mean, and I've never done it before then. We've done transmissions. I mean, that's the stuff that, I never can do that. Whatever you do, a book is very helpful for most people. And you can take classes even. You can go and take a college class, possibly even sponsored from the Small Business Administration in your own hometown, and not have to pay for it. And I honestly would recommend it. And if you do have to pay for it, it's a tax deduction because it's part of your business. There's nothing wrong with trying to figure out how to do stuff like that. Yeah, I know there's GoDaddy and stuff like a lot of people are talking about in here, but I can't speak enough on knowing the mechanics of how something actually works will help you overall in your understanding of business in general, in my book. I mean, you knowing every step of it is key, not just turning over some numbers and hoping everything's right. What if your accountant makes a mistake? Our accountant, right after we hired him, the one who does our labor, we've got two accountants, the one that does our payroll labor, he accidentally charged some ungodly amount to our personal bank account because he mixed up two people. And it was one of those things where I was furious, but we had already they already signed it up. It was the owner's son of the company too that made the mistake. So, you got to be able to understand and be able to catch stuff like that. You got to be able to understand how it all works. That's part of being a successful business. I don't know any business who's successful who doesn't know all of their numbers. They know all their numbers. They know where everything comes in. They can tell you what's going to happen next month in sales. That's the kind of person you need to be, and anybody can get there. Just like Dom said, you just got to be able to put yourself out there and risk failing a few times to be able to succeed. I don't know how many times I've failed, but I never gave up. I didn't care. It just made me try harder the next time I did it. That's the point. I mean, if some other person down the street you don't know can do it, why can't you? Why would you think that you can't do any of this? There's no logic to say, hey, I can't do this. That's how I felt with college. you know, and then 4 years in college, then it turned into 6 years with the master's, and I still may get to Dom's level here one of these days. We've been going back and forth on that, but the point is, I never thought I could do it. I never thought, you know, as a juvenile delinquent at age 17, basically, you know, out of control kid, and you know, my father just passed. I just gave up on all that stuff, and I never came back around until I had somebody, Lou. I've talked about him before. I got a whole video on this guy. He was like my mentor to be, and he's like, dude, you can do it. If I can do it, and I'm totally computer illiterate when I started, is what he told me. You know, you can do it. You know, and that's all it took, was somebody to come out there and show me, and then I figured out, wow, I can do it. And then from there on in, nothing stopped me. That was the end of it. I had an epiphany, and my whole mind thought changed on what I needed to do with my life, and I've done it ever since.
Yeah, it definitely, it gives you, when you doubt yourself, and then if someone gives you the confidence or helps you get the confidence, once you get that, that could really be the thing that just sets you on your way. And then you say, wow, wait, I actually could do it. I had some success, and now you know, keep building off that and making more successes. Also, you know, having that knowledge and knowing your area and having an independent knowledge of it, so you're not dependent on someone else, helps you also to troubleshoot around things when you're having issues, you know, especially if it's technology related. If you're always relying on someone else to help you with something that's technology related, that person's not always going to be there, and sometimes something's going to go wrong, and you need to be able to think your way around it, think critically, and say, wait a minute, hold on, is it this, is it that? You want to be the one that has that knowledge.
Most definitely. We bought a massive a couple of towers here. I've got a server and stuff. I called somebody because I don't know what all you need for like a top of the end a professional video editing and stuff. But you know, I had somebody come over and help me. So, you know, don't be afraid, even if you know a lot of stuff, to go ahead and ask somebody else, because there's always somebody else who will know more than you as well too. Don't let that bother you. Don't be offended that you got to go ask somebody either. The people who succeed are the ones who find the answers, even if it means asking somebody else. If I don't know an answer, I'm sure as heck going to try and figure it out, even if I got to ask somebody. Yeah. Even right now, even right this very second, if I need to find something out, I'm just going to ask somebody. Asking does a world of goods no matter what you're doing. Would you not agree?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you got to be willing to do that. I mean, you got to put your pride aside sometimes and just like acknowledge, like, hey, okay, I don't know something. That's okay. Not everyone, you know, could know something. I think the last person who they say knew everything about everything that was available at the time was Aristotle. That was the last person. So, you know, no one here is Aristotle. Things have changed since then. It's impossible to know everything. So, you know, it's okay. That's why it's another reason you make connections, because, you know, you say, hey, wait a minute, I have a question on this. Like, you know, Don's an expert in this. He knows this. So I'll ask Don, or I know so-and-so is a specialist in this topic, and I could go and reach out to that person and ask them, and they could do the same with me. Like, you just sharing knowledge back and forth. It's okay.
Let me I had one question that was asked before the show actually started. Somebody had asked me a question as promoted listings and ad blocker. I do not do promoted listings, so just FYI, I've had that question many times. Knowing your business and stuff, knowing how things work. Another thing I haven't done since before Christmas is I have not put anything on sale. I finally, with keywords and messing around with prices and stuff, I'm getting the same results from messing around with my store than I would if I did a sale at this point. I'm still running fourth quarter numbers right now. So right now I'm not doing any of that. And I haven't done promoted listings, paying eBay to promote my listings in what, a year and a half or longer, I think, at all. I've totally stopped them whatsoever. I have not looked back. My sales have not gone down. Now, that's my results. You could have completely different results. I'm not saying don't use it, but I'm saying you need to test it out, see what works, see what you're comfortable with, and do it on your own. And I think it was Bob who posted that message, if I'm not mistaken. Bob or Philip. I've got two names written down here. But the point of it is, you can do it on your own. You need to look into these aspects, whatever you're doing, whether it's you want to know if you should promote, whether you want to know if it's, say, auction. Dom's talked about, I've talked about, there's ways you can instantly tell what's the best way to sell something, whether you need to promote it in the first place, whether you should put something on sale. And again, it might come down to whether you need money right now or not too. So everybody might have a different take, a different look on that. I've literally come around with eBay. I know they've done a lot of bad things. They've done a lot of bad things to me. At this point, you know, eBay is way less than half of our business overall these days. And, everything's a cost of doing business in my book too. And that's one of the things you're going to have to understand too, if you want to be successful, is what's the cost of your business? Things like chargebacks, things like somebody ripping you off. That's all part of doing a business. And, if you're going to be successful, you got to take into account, not take it personally, and not quit. Again, I'm sure Dom got probably as many "I'm going to quit because somebody ripped me off" comments as I've gotten. And, if I quit every time somebody did something like that on a site, I'd have quit years ago.
No, Don, that's a huge thing. I hear that all the time. Like, someone has one bad experience on eBay, one bad return. You don't like one policy that came out, and that's it. You're willing to just end it. That's the total opposite of what Don and I are trying to inspire people towards. I mean, don't get me wrong. If there's something that happens that's so against your moral principles or something like that, and you want to take a stand, I mean, we certainly respect stuff like that. But in general, if it's you got to take a step back and see it for what it is. Generally, these things are usually blips that eventually resolve themselves in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes they resolve themselves by people getting upset and by complaining. But eventually there's usually workarounds for these things. So if you really love it, you're really passionate about it, don't give up on it because of one or two bad things that happened. You got to have a stronger foundation than that.
Yeah. Now, if you've never run a business, let's break this down for just a minute here. You got a couple more minutes, Dom? I think we're heading towards.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you on too long.
As long as you read me a bedtime story tonight.
I'll do that if I have to. Now, a lot of people doing this, their first business they've ever done is an eBay business. You haven't dealt with what's it like working in a brick and mortar before. I've had beer bottles thrown on me. I've had my windows bashed out. I've had my tires slashed. I've been hit physically on many occasions. I've been robbed. We had a girl pistol whipped in a store. I've had people die. I've had somebody shot in my parking lot. I could go on all day. I've got videos even from the CCTV cameras that we bought or we took out of there. That's a normal manager's position. That's a normal thing, whether you think it's normal or not. That's the kind of stuff that happens in many different industries. And, I managed to be fine with that. I kept my numbers up and all that. Now, I compare that to what I'm doing now. And if you haven't had some really awful job before, you might not get the gist that this isn't that hard on you, I should say. And the stuff's going to happen, but it always rights itself. The boat keeps going down the river. I never have an issue where, I'm flooded and sunk. As long as you're able to calmly look at it and think about the future, where you're going with it. You might have a bad week. You might even have a bad month. But it doesn't stay like that forever. And if you can adjust it, you can look into it, your business, your numbers, you'll be able to fix those far better. Just like I do projections. I project out from day one of the month, what I'm going to do for the month in each single area that I'm in. And I go by that. That steers my direction. It helps me get to a goal or whatever I'm doing because I know where I should be. So if my numbers start to dive, I already know by day 3, day 7, day 8, whatever it is, you can fix it. But you got to know your numbers. You got to be willing to learn. You got to be wanting to know that so you can really look at your store and go, wow, this is what I need to do. People thought you're crazy for not doing this or not doing that. Well, I figured a way around it. I figured that this works for me. It may not work for you. It may not work for Dom. Something Dom does may not work for me or you either. It's not the point, but we don't care trying it. I don't mind putting myself out there. Worst case scenario, something doesn't sell. I'm not going to get a slap on the wrist. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just moving stuff around and trying things out to see what works. Whatever you're going to do in your business, what works for you is great. It may not work for somebody else though. And somebody else made a comment about it's hard to not compare yourself to somebody else. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who posted on there, but that was one I remember. And it's been a little while since I saw it, but I've been thinking about that ever since I saw that. Now, I used to compare myself to everybody else. But right now, I look at it as a business. When people are criticizing me, and I take hate and stuff still these days on posts and stuff. When people are doing it, they're looking at a persona, what Don is, who Don is, and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me that somebody doesn't like my voice or doesn't like the way I look or what. Who cares? I don't know those people, and they're not going to affect you or anybody else out there. I've got a video literally about don't compare yourself to other people. Who cares how many packages somebody else sends out? Who cares how many boxes they purchased or whatever the case may be? The bottom line is what matters. Your revenue is what matters. So you're all different businesses in the whole works. If you're comparing yourself to somebody else, you're doing apples and oranges. You can't compare apples to oranges. Dom does his stuff differently than I do. He has different results than I do. He sells high dollar comic books. I sell mid-range or lower comic books, but I do sell other high end where he doesn't sell quite as high because he's not up or knowledgeable in certain areas. Dom blows me away in comic knowledge, of course, but the point of it is that, you take what you got from your business and you expand on that. Who cares what somebody else is doing? Dom didn't get where he's at with comics by making sure somebody else isn't sending out 50 comics instead of him. He's not worried about what other people are doing. I'm not worried about what everybody else is doing and trying to compare it. I don't even watch most other reseller channels at all. Dom, there's a few others I'll hit here and there in videos and stuff, but Dom's about the only one I watch. I'm not saying there's not good knowledge out there, but the point of it is don't compare yourself to those folks. People have personas on here. This is me. This is me all the time. And I know that's Dom all the time. The point of it is there's a lot of people that's not them. Don't try and compare yourself to the wonderful filtered life of someone's Facebook post or Instagram post. It's all filtered. Worry about yourself and bettering yourself. You'll do far better and be much more successful. I'll end it with that spot there.
Yeah. If I was trying to get by comparing myself to Don's channel, I would have quit a long time ago because there's no comparison. So it's
you can't say that now.
No, absolutely. His channel is amazing. It's filled with incredible content. It's like a free encyclopedia basically that you all have access to.
I take a lot of hate for that because people keep getting mad that I talk about stuff, but I talk about stuff that I like.
Yeah. Well, see, that to me is the most ridiculous thing, because it's like recently I was responding to someone there was a story I posted to my Facebook group on, they did a feature story on a local town. I don't know what, I'm just going to name some random thing like Phoenix, Arizona or something. And they were saying, oh, wow, this person goes to thrift stores and she sources stuff and she makes money. It was a very positive story. So I was like, great, this is nice. It's a feel-good story. So I posted it. And of course, there's the usual group of people who come in and say, well, this is not good. This is now going to ruin it for all of us because now the thrift stores are going to know and they're going to raise the prices up. It's like, well, first of all, the cat's out of the bag, everybody. Resellers go to thrift stores. Like they know that at this point.
20 years ago, they probably did.
But this gets back to what we were saying earlier. First of all, if you have the knowledge, like we're talking about, if you take the time to learn, like Don and I are talking about, how many, and I'm not saying this in a bad way to put down thrift store workers. I'm just saying their job is to work in the thrift store, but they can't possibly know everything about every single thing that comes in. There's so much stuff getting donated, especially now on a daily basis, that they cannot possibly, just based on the pure volume and staffing issues, there's no way they could pick out every treasure and know and price everything accurately. So there's opportunity. There will always be opportunity for you to go in there and grab it. It's not ruined for everybody. You just go in and look and use your knowledge and you'll find stuff. And so Don and I, if Don does a video or if I do a video, like Don just did one on Coke bottles, did that just ruin the market on Coke bottles? No, it did not. Just so what? So to go out and look at how many people in your area where you live watch Don's video on Coke bottles, and now there's going to be a mad rush on them and you're not going to be able to get it the next time. That's not going to happen. So, people sometimes worry about things that it's just not, in reality, it's not going to happen. So it's fine.
One more thing. I've had a lot of people say that the stuff I'm showing in those videos isn't what they're selling for. Every single video I've ever done on YouTube here of the items I show is 100% straight from eBay. All I've done is block out the seller's name with a template. Every single one of every single item I've ever shown will show up in sold listings as long as it's not past a year in Terapeak or something like that. They all show up on WorthPoint. I don't show any fake items. Every single thing that I have ever shown are real 100% sales through eBay. I had somebody today about that bottle video telling me that you'll never get those prices. Those are all fictitious. I call BS or something. I blocked them because, you know, they don't know what they're talking about. I don't care what somebody else gets for something at a show. I don't care what you get for it on eBay. I've got many other places I sell things on. Again, if I worried about what somebody else said like that, I wouldn't be doing videos ever again. I wouldn't be selling anything for the prices I get for it. eBay is not the only source. eBay is less than half of our business. I sell stuff all over the place. I don't keep all my eggs in one basket, and that's another way to be successful. You don't rely on one revenue stream. I've got like 15 literally now. We signed a contract for something the other day. So we have been expanding left and right. That's the only way to be successful. Invest your money back into your business. You may have to you keep reinvesting for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. That's how you become successful. You don't blow the money now that you got it and think, hey, I can go out and party now. I don't do that. We go on vacation. We do everything wisely and safely and all, but reinvest it. You know,
sure. I do the same exact thing. Yeah. After tax season is done, I take, you can go make your own decision on what percentages you want to do, but I take half of the money, reinvest it into my business, and I take half of the money to pay myself. And, but everyone else will use different percentages that work for them. But the point is, you have to take a percentage out to reinvest into yourself and continue to grow. That's how you succeed. And that's the topic of the show.
Definitely. I don't want to go on too long today. I know we've both had some really long weeks here. We'll hand it over to Dom for just a second to give some final thoughts here, and we will sign off in just a few moments.
I see some comments in the chat that some people, including like Jesse Shops and stuff, have been motivated by what we were saying tonight. And I hope that's the main take that people get out of this, especially if you're feeling a little low, you're feeling a little down, you felt like giving up, you feel like something's too hard, technology, a new area in reselling, don't doubt yourself so much. Really stick with it and, try to embrace learning, and that is going to help you succeed. Try to overcome obstacles, just continue to try to go towards always moving towards the direction of whatever your goals are that you set for yourself. And you should hopefully find some good success by doing that.
Most definitely. My final thought would be not to give up. Whatever it takes to get you where you want to be, you just don't give up. Everybody who's up there, who's accomplished something major, they did it by not giving up, not worrying about what other people thought. Whatever people thought, eBay was a fad. It's never going to go anywhere when we were first in eBay. And same thing with PayPal. We made enough to buy a car off of PayPal stock, and everybody else laughed at us. I don't care. I don't care what somebody else thinks. If you know what you're doing, you know where you're going with it, block out all the naysayers, block out all, that's just noise. It's just like being back in high school and you've got the bullies and people telling you this and that. It's the same principle. Don't worry about them. Worry about your own self. You pay your bills. They don't. Bottom line is anybody can do it. Anybody can be successful at whatever you do. If you give up, though, how can you be successful if you're not doing it anymore? Try it again until you succeed. That's the bottom line. And I think we'll end it at that. Hopefully you took something from this. I do have a video that just uploaded for Patreon. It will be up as soon as I get off here. Again, I have had some technical things going on, so I have not been able to do much posting other than the ones that were already posted ahead of time that just now went active. So I do thank everybody for coming on. Thank you, Dom, as well, for being on tonight. Always glad to have this gentleman on the show with us. So if you haven't checked it out, I do have links down below. It's also in the description box there as well. Hope you all have a good night and stay safe.